I had a glass thrown once to the decks.
Let's pick out a record now in your box that compares to a double espresso.
Hey, Joao, how's it going? Good to see you, man.
Yep.
Welcome to Swoon in the heart of Bristol.
You come a long way to Bristol, you're all the way from Portugal, so I'm really stoked to have you on an episode of CuppaSoul. What have we ordered? We had an espresso, didn't we? And I've got the classic Americano.
Espresso and some ice cream.
One shot wonder. I love it. My shots are usually tequila. You're a really interesting guest to have on CuppaSoul because you're relatively young, a lot younger than a lot of people on the soul scene. And of course, coming from Portugal, I'm very interested to hear how does someone like yourself get into soul music and become an international DJ?
Basically, in Portugal, we don't really have a soul scene in between like the local community in Porto or in Lisbon. But I've been fortunate that my father, he has always been very influenced by all kinds of black music. And in the 90s, he was bringing Keb Darge, Ian Wright and Snowboy and all the deep funk DJs to Portugal. And he was also into a lot of soul music, all kinds of soul music. So I remember when I was young listening, I don't know, when I was maybe 15, 17 years, I remember listening to like Bilal, and Frederick Himes. They were tunes that I already enjoyed when I was a kid.
I've heard he was, am I right in saying that he was one of the oldest DJs in Portugal at one point?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if, I think he was the second DJ in Portugal after another DJ called DJ Shibanga, which he has died. I think he's the second oldest, but if he isn't, he's one of the first pioneering DJs in Portugal.
If you and your dad got into a battle, a DJ battle, who would win?
Oh, we have very similar tastes. I don't see it that way for sure, but he was a very big influence in my learning during all these years, because no one is actually born liking every kind of music. Some people are more sensitive, others less, but there's always a learning curve when you want to appreciate some kind of music. So you have to learn a little bit. And so I remember when I was a kid, sometimes I listened to something and my dad is like, "That's awful, don't listen to that." But joking, you know, he would let me listen to it. But, you know, if you put some effort, sometimes you start, your appreciation grows when you start learning more and more how to listen to a kind of music.
Yes, it does, it does.
I mean, I've been a DJ for more than 10 years, but mainly more into like electronic music and other kinds of music.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover with kind of the electronic music, say sort of house music. You get a lot of samples of soul music in that genre, would you say? Yeah,
you do, for sure. There is a lot of sampling, definitely, in the house music. And mainly more maybe from like disco, like 70s, like Salsoul, those bigger labels. There's a lot of sampling, especially like in very late 80s Chicago house music, which I think it's very influenced in disco, and it has a lot of soul into it.
Yeah.
This thing about starting to DJing as a soul DJ, I would say that it was mainly because of Laurent. When I met Laurent, he has his Soul Weekender in the Algarve, Deep Cliff Soul Weekender, fantastic weekender. I started at a certain point, maybe 7 years ago, to collect soul in original form, but mostly because I'm very materialistic. I like to collect things, so it's something that attracts me, just having the real pieces of music. And I eventually started playing these in some gigs that I had in Porto in these smaller venues. One of them was called Café Olé. It was one of the only places in Porto which really had an enthusiastic crowd, and you could really play some soul, funk, other things besides house music and techno.
And how did the Portuguese people react to soul music? What's the general vibe that you get from them?
I would say that mainly everything that's more 70s is very easily appreciated, and there were some very fantastic, we had fantastic nights there, it was really good. 60s, a bit harder, but I always try to
Yeah.
to put people into it, but it's a bit different.
So you kind of cut your teeth DJ in clubs where there's a general crowd, but you're a very desirable DJ for the soul scene right now. Your collection is to die for, and you're DJing all over the world, internationally, all over Europe. And I wonder if you've ever had any crazy moments at airport security.
I haven't had like a very crazy moment, but I'd say that 50% of the time that my record bag goes into the security thing, half the times it's pulled and they just ask me what it is. But it's funny that mostly when I say it's like vinyl records, they really get surprised and say, "Whoa, fantastic!" And so I haven't had any bad experiences, but I do worry a little bit when I'm traveling outside of the European Union, because then you also have customs and. At least until now, I haven't had any problems.
I've heard stories of people getting caught at customs and having to pay like a lot of taxes on importing records and stuff like that.
I hope that won't happen to me.
So what is your worst nightmare when it comes to DJing? You've done a lot of gigs. What is it that keeps you up at night thinking about a gig?
What scares me more is a gig where you can have somebody spill a drink on top of your records, or I've had that kind of things happen to me when I played house music.
Really?
Yep, and like
on the decks whilst they're going.
Yep.
Did the
I
music...
had a glass thrown once to the decks. Everything can happen when you're in a big club.
Yeah.
And of course, I cherish my records a lot.
What was your reaction?
Oh, I mean, those kind of things when they happen, when it's like bigger clubs and everything. Thank God I wasn't hit by a glass or anything, but that kind of thing only happened to me when I was playing more house and techno.
So coming from Portugal and having done a lot of the European scene and a bit of the UK scene as well, what's something on the European scene that you think could be reflected in the UK scene, something that you'd want to see?
I'll be honest with you, Levan, I'm not really into the soul scene for so many years that I could have experience to say that. Obviously, the only thing I can say is that all these events that I've been lucky to DJ in Europe, they all have a fantastic crowd, and every DJ and everything is always excellent. People are very respectful, and it's very open-minded. So I would say that the few times that I also came to play in the UK, which I was very fortunate to, in Liverpool, and these events in Bristol and in Manchester for Darren Sykes. I mean, everybody was very open-minded, and I don't feel any like snobbish, I don't know how to put it. For me, it's just about the music and people appreciating the music. I don't really value that as much. I just want to see people smiling and dancing, and that's what's important, nothing else.
I know that you've got your records with us. Shall we have a little look at what's inside your box?
Okay.
Let's have a little look.
Okay.
Let's have a little look. Let's bring it over. If you had to pull out one of those records in your box that would be the equivalent to a cup of tea.
That's a very hard question. Okay, so as a cup of tea...
There's a little challenge for you.
As a cup of tea...
Like a warm cup of tea on a winter's day, sat by the fire.
A record, like a cup of tea. Maybe this ballad here from the Jobbets. What you gonna do?
The Jobettes.
Yeah. It's very
Compared
warm.
to a cup of tea, a nice warm cuppa on a winter's day.
Yeah.
Nice.
That will warm your soul for sure.
Let's put that one there. So let's pick out a record now in your box that compares to a double espresso.
So a double espresso has to be something with some adrenaline, with some caffeine.
It's gonna have a lot of adrenaline, some oomph.
So I would say that I would choose maybe this record, which it's a shame I haven't played it as much because I really like it, but I will play it today. It's a crossover.
Be Your Man, the Harmonics.
The Harmonics, yes.
There you go, check that one out. Record heads, get your pens and papers out.
Especially the break in the middle, some drums at a certain point come in, and it's a beautiful tune.
So one more, let's seeing as we're in a gelateria, let's go for, and you've got a mango sorbet right there, find the record that suits the mango sorbet.
That's a hard question because I can't describe a record as a mango ice cream, but a sweet one.
Sweet
But,
one,
it's
but
not
fruity
sweet.
as well. It's
not-
kind of fruity, would
Mango
you say?
is like more an exotic fruit. So
Yeah, okay, so it's exotic, yeah.
exotic, yeah, but exotic, it's gonna be a bit hard. I'm not sure if I did bring something exotic. I mean, I would maybe put this one could be not exotic,
This
but
one
more
could be a mango sorbet.
yeah, like more summerish. Rhythm machine, put a smile on time.
I love it. There you go. Put a smile on time, rhythm machine as a mango sorbet. Gotta be. It's gotta be. I'll tell you what, I think that's a really nice way to close the conversation and just say thank you so much for, you know, coming out. I feel like we got to make sure you got to get there in time for your set this evening
Oh yeah,
anyway.
I want to
so
play these records for sure.
let's finish up our drinks.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, I'm going to drink
Thank
this
you for
how
coming
we
to this
drink
episode
espresso
of-
in Portugal.
Exactly. Sunday night espresso after a late night. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of CuppaSoul.
See you.